That's not what dinosaurs looked like.
Because they never existed. The fossilized bones were a joke.
Fair warning. All dinosaur names can and will be mispronounced. For example, I recently learned that it's supposed to be Deinonychus instead of Deinonychus. All dinosaur names will be put on screen for your convenience. Welcome to another episode of Tea and Toffees, a twice-monthly VTuber podcast. Hello, I'm Neitshayd, who would have been a velociraptor once upon a time.
Hi, I'm Cecilia, who would have been a Brachiosaurus once upon a time.
So if you want dinosaurs and lots of blood and gore and a good story, Jurassic Park is not it. But there's a webtoon called Darbi. Its protagonist is a T-Rex. It's awesome. It has dinosaurs and lots of blood and gore and a good story. I'll link it down below. But yeah, Jurassic Park. A guilty pleasure above all. Dinosaurs, deadly dinosaurs all around.
So you love it for the blood and gore?
Obviously. What else for? These films are shit.
True. So when we watched the films together, we contemplated what dinosaurs we would be. I'm a rather peaceful person. I wouldn't want to hunt. So I would be a herbivore, most likely. And I wouldn't want to bother much with other dinos and don't want to be eaten by others. So I would need to be big, a big dinosaur. And living in a herd sounds nice. So, Brachiosaurus it is. I could also crush these tiny little humans under my feet.
I would be a murder turkey.
Fitting.
Alright. Let's see how short this will be, because I'll do most of the talking and I'm fast. Yeah. Alright, so Jurassic Park, the franchise, made up of two trilogies, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Jurassic Park starts with the film of the same title from 1993.
Oh, wow. This film is old. And it's clearly visible.
Yes, but it still does look good, actually.
Yeah.
It is based on a book. Because of course it is.
Because it is.
Okay. An old rich dude got some scientists to create living dinosaurs for him, and he wants to open a theme park. But oh no, the dinosaurs are dangerous. He needs some experts to tell people it's perfectly safe. So he invites some paleontologists, a mathematician, to take a look at the park, but the computer nerd who keeps grumbling about money shuts down the security system to steal stuff, and oh no, the dinosaurs escape from their paddocks and kill everyone. Well, everyone but the protagonists.
They're the protagonists, after all, so they can't die.
Yes. Something I found interesting, just randomly, InGen's rival company is Biosin, but that isn't mentioned in the film. It's, Biosin basically is the one who bribes the computer nerd so that he can snatch stuff. Just saying, it's Biosin, but yeah, the film just leaves that out for some reason. Anyway,
archaeologists,
paleontologists,
whatever, they aren't experts on safety. They do not deal with living, dangerous animals. They dig up bones. They might know about the dangers of dinosaurs, but I don't think they would know how to translate that to safety measures. I think a combination of archaeologists or whatever you said, and then people who deal with dangerous animals on the regular and security experts would be needed. Combined knowledge.
Paleontologists study the history of non-human life based on fossils. Archaeologists study human history, cultures, and the like based on human-made artifacts.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Now you do.
Yes.
And you are correct. And why a chaos theory mathematician? Like, we love Ian Malcolm, but yes, but why? Why?
No clue why. He is just there. The first living dinosaur we actually get to see is a Brachiosaurus. Yes. Or a similar looking species, because how are we supposed to know? They are not accurate, and there were multiple dinosaurs with were big and have long necks, and yeah. But I will go with Brachiosaurus. It's a me dinosaur.
Mario. It's a me, Mario. It is in fact supposed to be a Brachiosaurus, but those dinosaurs don't chew their food, so that's inaccurate.
The Brachiosaurus, they only appear in the films 1, 3, and 5, while the Velociraptor, or the inaccurate version of the murder turkey, they're in all 6 of them.
Because they're awesome for the first trilogy, and fan service for the second trilogy. Okay, so Jurassic Park from 1993 is a film based on a novel called Jurassic Park from 1990 by Michael... I cannot pronounce his name. I put it on screen. Crichton? I have no clue how to pronounce it. I will henceforth call him the author. I have not read the original source material. Shocking, I know.
Very shocking.
In the original novel, some dinosaurs had already escaped before the story even begins. There are several scenes that didn't make it into the first and second films, but some were used for the third film. Many things were changed overall that I'm not going into because I didn't read the books. Characters have different motivations and personalities. John Hammond, for example, is much greedier. And also he dies a gruesome death, which is awesome. Yeah, deaths are different. The whole island is destroyed at the end. They apparently contain... The book apparently contains way more gore and violence compared to the film, which is considerably less graphic, less horrific, both on the side of the dinosaurs and the humans. And wow, how much more violent is that book?
I think you should go and read the book.
Yes, I should. There is a sequel book titled The Lost World from 1995. According to the internet, the author was pressured into writing it by his fans.
Poor author.
Yeah, just... we will get deeper into analysis stuff later on. For now, let's just go through the films one by one and some random stuff that we noticed. For one, what happened to the 6th Triceratops? We will never know. Also, they misspelled Tyrannosaurus and Stegosaurus on the DNA samples.
Did the loss of the samples become relevant later? They are only safe for 18 hours after all. Guess not in this film.
I think someone picked them up in a later installment. I don't quite remember. More important question. Do you get shocked when you're standing on the ground? When you're not standing on the ground? Because birds can safely sit on high voltage power lines after all, so the kid either shouldn't have gotten a shock or died from it.
He should have just jumped.
And broken his neck, yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, last note, snake. There's a snake in this film. It might even be a boa.
And why should we care about a snake in a dinosaur film?
Because snake.
Said the one who wants to have a pet boa constrictor.
Yes, snake. I mean, also, the camera is specifically focused on that snake for no reason at all, so of course I took notice. Snake.
Snakey snake snake.
Next up, The Lost World, Jurassic Park from 1997. Also based on a book, kind of. The author specifically brought Ian Malcolm back from the dead for the sequel, because yes, Ian died in the first novel. But John Hammond stayed dead for this one. The name is a reference to a book by Arthur Conan Doyle.
Hey, I know that name.
I would be worried if you didn't. As a fan of Sherlock Holmes, and it's case closed in English, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Detective Conan. Anyway, so...
Wait, aren't only the films case closed? Or is it just...
No, the anime in English is technically called Case Closed, but no one calls it that because why would they?
Huh. Weird decisions.
Summary time. The old rich dude's company, InGen, has now been taken over by his nephew and is on its way to become an evil organization. Time to go to Dino Island #2 that just happens to exist and where dinosaurs have been living in the wild for a while now, even though that should be impossible. Let's send in military people to snatch some dinos and also scientists and a mathematician to study some dinos. It will be awesome, totally safe, not gonna have to run from scary dinos this time.
Well. This is going to go wrong.
In every way possible. So the opening scene of this film, where some rich people's kid gets attacked by mini dinosaurs, compies, I think, is actually what happens at the beginning of the original Jurassic Park novel. Because in that novel, the dinos had already escaped to the main and undetected by the time the story begins. Also, the main antagonist in the novel was the Biosyn dude who bribed the computer nerd in part 1, and not John Hammond's nephew. And the entire last arc of the film, with the T-Rex being brought to the mainland and running wild, is nowhere to be found in the novel, among other changes.
Never underestimate the little guys. If you have a lot of them, then they can do a lot of damage. Even kill and eat a human. Compies.
Just like murder turkeys.
The message at the end is good, I think. The animals will thrive without humans. These stupid humans. They do better without human influence. Message that is true for most animals in general. Some have been bred to be dependent on humans. Those are exceptions, of course. But sadly, humans won't leave nature alone anytime soon.
Of course they won't.
Because why would they?
Last of this trilogy, Jurassic Park 3 from 2001. Not based on a book, but also based on a book. Because Jurassic Park 3 got all the scenes from the novels that weren't used in the first 2 parts.
Ah, so that's why. I was wondering about the name. Because it doesn't fit with the previous one. Guess they weren't creative enough to come up with a title on their own without the author's help?
Probably not. Or they didn't want to. To honor, I don't know. Probably to be found somewhere on the internet, or maybe someone knows and cannot tell us in the comments. Anyway, so let's make sure everyone knows the badass fake raptors are even more badass than we already thought they were. For that purpose, some rich people bribe our dear protagonist from the first film to get them to see deadly dinosaurs firsthand, because that can't possibly go wrong. Though it turns out they didn't actually want to see the dinosaurs, but save their son from the island. We get to see shiny, new, just as deadly dinosaurs that are now there for some inexplicable reason, despite never having been mentioned before. But I suppose it's a different island and all.
Is the shiny new dino the water dino?
No. The Mosasaurus was introduced in Jurassic World.
But the boat crew was eaten by a water dino, wasn't it?
A dinosaur. Probably. But I think it was never specified.
If not a water dino, then the flying dinos? But those are in a bird cage.
And not dinos, but more later. I think it was implied to have been the raptors. Somehow.
Can raptors swim now?
I don't know. They were rather close to the island, the boat, but... we both know the films aren't exactly logical in any way. Or good films.
Yeah. That the answer to everything is now dino instead of magic.
Yes.
So. Without the cataclysmic event, raptors might be the dominant species on the planet Earth.
Fake Jurassic Park velociraptors could do it, but they're genetically engineered, so no. Any raptors, also called Dromaeosauridae, probably wouldn't be the dominant species. Sorry, Alan, they're smart, but not that smart. What I was wondering was, how did that kid survive several weeks on a dinosaur-filled island? His reactions that we see during the film don't make him out to be very smart when it comes to avoiding dinosaur trouble.
It's been 8 bloody weeks with raptors around.
Yeah, how did he survive?
I want to know, but we will never know.
And the wife character is so obnoxious. She's doing everything wrong you can do wrong in the dinosaur thriller, which is unfortunate because she's like kind of the only female character in that film.
She should have prepared herself better, knowing what she would get herself into. She wanted to go to that dinosaur island.
To save her son. You won't be of any use to your son if you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's not very smart, apparently. Don't go screaming and running off on your own after you have just escaped from a deadly dino and really should know better.
The next thing I wondered was, would a T-Rex abandon its already dead prey to hunt small little humans that would provide barely any sustenance at all?
So, the debate about the T-Rex being a hunter versus a scavenger, or both, is still ongoing, I believe. It is entirely possible a T-Rex would eat any carcass, even steal from other predators, because we don't know whether that carcass was actually the T-Rex's prey in the film. I doubt there's enough evidence to tell whether it would rather eat a carcass or hunt after some interesting prey that's running away. Like a cat would chase after something that is... because it's interesting to chase after, right?
It's about the chase.
Well, no, Toffee wouldn't do that. If you give her the choice between food and some interesting... No, food, always.
Yeah.
Always food.
Yeah, that's our Toffee.
But, like, other cats I know would prefer chasing after the interesting running little thingy thing, if it's a favorite toy or something. But not Toffee.
Not Toffee.
Also, why would the raptors leave their eggs unsupervised?
It doesn't make sense. So, dinosaurs. The answer to everything.
Genetically engineered dinosaurs.
Yes.
And then at the end of the film, I was like, oh, there's a difference between, Marines and Navy. I guess One Piece got me all confused, because it depends on the translation whether they're called Navy or Marines in One Piece. But apparently that's two different things in America. Because I'm fairly sure European countries call it all Marine. Or some of them? All of them? I don't know. But like in America, it's two different things. And I'm like, why?
Who knows?
Why? I'm not even sure whether Marine in America is related to the water or not. I have no clue. If it's not, then what? That's a misnomer then. But
I'm also not sure.
And if it is related to water, then why do you have two different ones? And there's a helicopter called Marine One? And I'm like, what?
What?
What is going on over there?
It's America, we don't question it.
Yeah, my last tidbit is I wonder what happened to the pteranodons that escaped the island by the end.
Do you think...
Pteranodons? Pteranodons. Sorry.
Do you think that those will nest somewhere outside of the island? They are large and can probably fly long distances. Somewhere out there should be another nice nesting ground for them. We will face a major crisis with, well, I call them flying dinos, but like you said previously, they're not actually flying dinos.
Well, who knows? They'll be completely forgotten in about 14 years. Yeah, so generally this trilogy has way too many inconsistencies between scenes and story and everything, and the CGI of the this trilogy has not aged well. Although, let it not be said that it's like they didn't use a lot of CGI. Most of it is actually animatronics. And it doesn't, yes, it didn't age well compared to like films we get in the year of 2023, but it does still look good. Yeah, there are so many plot conveniences, and there's so much plot armor. In films where way too many random side characters die all the time, it's interesting.
Well, some characters have to die.
Yeah, not the protagonist.
Nope.
The dinosaurs are both super smart and super stupid simultaneously. So are the humans. It's fascinating. These films are so bad, and I still love them. Dear Satan. But in any case, the first trilogy is allowed to be bad. The second one is not. I will get into why later. Jurassic World, starting with Jurassic World from 2015. The park is running. Everything has actually been running smoothly for several years now. Holy Satan. And we have trained velociraptors. Nothing will go wrong with that. Therefore, the fan service after all. Really, nothing will go wrong with that. Still, we need more shiny new dinosaurs, not just as deadly, but more deadly than before. What could go wrong? Everything. Everything goes wrong. And the fan service raptors will save the day. And Rexy.
How long has the park been in operation if children now look at dinos like animals in a zoo?
Let me check my notes. Let me squint at them. 10 years. It opened in 2005 and it is now 2015.
Oh, what the bloody hell?
Is that really so surprising?
Yes. Yes, it is. How did nothing go wrong for 10 bloody years? It's dinosaurs.
Because dinosaurs are awesome, so nah, nothing could go wrong. Well, I mean, 2005, I suppose they had the technology and the experts that John Hammond didn't have to make everything be safe. And yeah, it was fine and all, and now it goes wrong because dinosaurs are awesome, but now they're getting boring, so we need to do something stupid.
And it wasn't already stupid enough to open a park full of dinos in the first place?
One with way too many security issues? No, apparently not. InGen is now part of Misronic Global, whatever. So, outrun the T-Rex that's faster than a Jeep, according to the films, not in real life. In heels? Yes. Makes no sense, but is kind of awesome.
That is kind of awesome. I think the water dino doesn't need to be fed in a while now. It got it in the Dominus to chomp on. And I also appreciate that Blue and the T-Rex are cool with each other. A truce for the time being. Gonna stick together for survival. It's important. It's very important if there's a Indominus thingy. So that we can work together to find a solution for that. It's important to stick together, to give and get emotional support so that the chance to get eaten is lower because you are in a group.
So that you can sacrifice the others to get eaten by dinosaurs while you get yourself the hell out of there. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom from 2018. Whoops! Big deadly water dino escapes. Anyway, a volcano eruption is imminent. Do we save the deadly dinosaurs or do we let them die? You go in to save them, of course, so we can use them for military operations and get people killed along the way. And because no one learned anything from the Indominus incident, it's time to bring on the even deadlier Indoraptor. And some cloned little girl, because why not? By the end of this mess, we've reached the part where the original novel ended. Dinosaurs are now on the mainland.
How is the Indominus skeleton so perfectly aligned and intact? Wouldn't the water dino have chomped on it and moved bones aside to get to the other meaty parts?
Broken the bones? Maybe even eaten them as well. I think I read something about T-Rexes breaking open bones to get to the maw. Maybe the Mosasaurus did as well. So yes, it should not have been intact.
Next note on the film. No! They left a Brachiosaurus for the dogs to die. How could they just leave it behind? Why is it always the Brachiosauruses that die? First, they die because the Indominus hunts them for sport, and now the Brachiosaurus die because they got left behind on an island where a volcano just erupted.
How would you transport a freaking Brachiosaurus, though? Heavy.
Well, they did actually transport one, but I think only one.
How?
Well, that I don't know. They just did somehow. And why did they build that? That Dino Island on a volcanic island to begin with? They should have known that it would erupt eventually.
Since when has it been a volcanic island to begin with? But, wait, never mind. There was an explanation in one of the Jurassic Park films that the rich dude, John Hammond, who wanted to originally open the park, used the volcano as a power source. It is also mentioned in the original novel, so it is canon, but reason given, aside from the power source, maybe because it benefits the dinosaurs somehow, and maybe Hammond wouldn't be bothered by the authorities or something? Who knows? No one knows.
No one knows, and the dinos are free. Again. But why only now? The flying not dinos were let free before. Is it only important now because a multitude of dinos were let loose all at once? Must suck for those living in America. Because other than the flying not dinos and the water dino, I don't think that anything will leave that continent. The flying ones could technically fly over, but in the warm regions, the flight would be quite long. And I don't think they would fly over the colder regions where the distance, yeah.
Joke's on you. Joke's on you. Because the very few escapees somehow explode into a large population of all sorts of dinosaurs living everywhere all over the world by the time the next film rolls around. Because that totally makes sense. Never mind that there's not nearly enough time for the dinosaurs to even evolve to be able to live in all these different environments.
This doesn't seem to make any sense, so I will answer it with dinosaurs.
So, last film would be Jurassic World Dominion from 2022, and I'm like, nope. Bad films. Bad film. Locusts. No. To be fair, none of these films are good. But this one couldn't even make up for being bad with its dinosaurs. Guys, what the heck?
We really didn't need the locusts.
Little extra. Camp Cretaceous. An animated series that was made for kids? The films are definitely not made for kids. With all the blood and gore. But this animated series can't have been made for adults. But there's also a bit of blood and... what? I don't know. Age ratings kind of confuse me often. Sometimes things get rated higher where I'm like, what was in there that was bad? And sometimes kid films have like blood and gore and I'm like, what? Is that... Really? What? I don't understand it.
Me neither.
Summary would be a group of kids gets trapped on the island, the main one, between Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. They do their best to survive against all odds. The dinosaurs turn from antagonists to allies and the humans take over for antagonists at some point. Bison is involved. There's Manticore. Both of them are rivals to InGen / Miss Brownie Global, and to each other. Humans are greedy little beings. You know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, seasons 1 to 3 were good, and 4 and 5 kinda odd. I think that's also the general consensus online from what I've seen. Like, in the last 2 seasons we got robots called brats and control chips, and that doesn't really fit the world building we got for Jurassic World, and the entire setup is kind of weird, but whatever. Also, where were the signs of a looming volcano eruption? It's set during the Jurassic World trilogy timeline after all, so there should have been signs of that. I remember that there was some kind of earthquakes that I thought were signs of the volcano when we watched it, but they ended up being machines malfunctioning or something. Missed opportunity. Either way, if you're fine with teenagers being teenagers, which actually means they're realistic characters, then it's a nice addition to the franchise. The characters are actually interesting individuals, and they have full character arcs, and their relationships are complex and all that. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Mm.
And the animation is also good. I got no more to say. Cecilia?
We got lesbian representation. That's rare. Usually it's the gays.
True. Plus point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that out of the way. Little overview. That lasted I don't know how many minutes. So, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I mentioned that Jurassic Park is not quite holding up compared to modern CGI-filled Jurassic World, but I must say, the visual effects do look pretty decent. And somehow, they feel more realistic. And they don't look better, but they are better? Somehow? I don't know. The dinosaurs actually look better in the first trilogy.
Yeah, I have to agree. I looked at the first Jurassic World film and thought the dinos would look better now, but they don't.
Yeah, they lost their liveliness. They seemed alive in the first trilogy, but they're not anymore in the second for some. Yeah, it's just all the work that went into the first one, and a lot of work went into the making of the Jurassic Park trilogy. A lot. It paid off.
Mm-hmm.
It still pays off.
Mm-hmm.
And the CGI is just lackluster, I suppose. Well, both trilogies are kind of messy when it comes to coherent storytelling. The first trilogy can make the excuse of wanting each film to stand on its own. The first being based on a novel that was meant to be one volume only, the second based on a sequel the author was kind of pressured into writing. Jurassic Park is really better viewed as 3 individual films, all sort of telling the same story, because there are a lot of things each film sets up that the following films never end up exploring. So it doesn't work as a continuing trilogy storyline. Even though they are chronological incidents with major characters returning, but yeah. The second trilogy doesn't have that excuse, and it seems at first glance to be a bit less messy because it has a more coherent storyline continuing through all 3 films. So, yeah, there's a more coherent storyline connecting the films, but it's still an utter mess.
Yes.
An utter mess.
An utter mess.
For me, personally, Jurassic World somehow managed to lose some of the magic that made Jurassic Park so awesome. Despite being actually really bad films. Even though Jurassic World has the power of modern technology on its side and looks positively awesome, technically it's just something is missing.
The blood and gore.
Yes. They are fundamentally different trilogies. Jurassic Park focused on scary, deadly dinosaurs killing humans. And Jurassic World focused on, look at these fascinating creatures that are living and breathing and evolving. And also here have some fancy fanservice raptors. Actually, the raptors are a perfect representation of each trilogy. We've got cruel, clever, and vicious Jurassic Park killers versus trained, somewhat docile Jurassic World pets. Jurassic World killers. So, survival, thriller, horror? That is even gorier in the original novel, and what even is Jurassic World?
A trilogy featuring dinosaurs.
Anyway. Jurassic World just feels completely different, and I personally don't like it, even though I think all 6 films are bad, and I still love them to bits. Well, 4.5 out of 6. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is a bit of an odd one. And I've never seen Dominion, but I already hate it because of Lucas and Blue becoming even more of a fan service than she already was. looking at the directors, it's like, yeah, I can clearly see the differences reflected in each film as well. Spielberg directed Jurassic Park 1 and 2. Someone else directed 3. Then some person I don't care about directed Jurassic World 1 and 3. And some fourth person directed Jurassic World 2. That's 4 different directors, and you can see that reflected in the films they made respectively. Spielberg was the best, in my humble opinion.
Your opinions are never humble. You don't do humble, Neitshayd.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, if you think about it, Jurassic Park 3 is a different kind of mess than 1 and 2 were. And similarly, Jurassic World 2 stands out among 1 and 3. And that's the influence of directing, and also screenwriting, but directing goes a long way in translating script to screen. So Jurassic Park 1 and 2 are better than 3, and Jurassic World 2 is both better than 1 and 3, but also not better than 1 and 3. They're all really bad in the second trilogy. The first is bad, the second is really bad. Trilogy, I mean. Just. But yeah, so Jurassic Park is a sci-fi thriller, science fiction. Makes me always think of space ships, but it's science fiction, so yeah, Jurassic Park would be science fiction. Fiction of science, wouldn't it? Yes. Yes,
yeah, it would. But I also think of like space and aliens.
Yeah, well, it's fiction of science, and dinosaurs are science. Genetically engineered dinosaurs, so
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is a sci-fi thriller with a trio of scientists, 2 paleontologists, although I think Ellie might be more focused on botanics, if I remember correctly, and a chaos theory mathematician. And yeah, it's focused on science and suspense. Our protagonists in each film, even as characters change, want to study the dinosaurs and learn more about them. Jurassic World, on the other hand, is an adventure story with a raptor trainer and the person in charge of the park. It's focused on action and personal motives / emotional scenes. None of the characters are interested in learning about prehistoric dinosaurs anymore. It's all about theme park attractions and more teeth, and the military wants its piece of the cake with weapons made of dinosaurs.
It's all about the money.
Oh, I got it. Jurassic Park is about the dinosaurs being cool but deadly. Jurassic World is about the people, Owen, being cool, and their dinosaurs.
Accurate description.
So much for that. Moving on to the second half of our notes, the one I'm so excited about.
Woohoo!
Science.
Science. Dinosaurs are a joke from God and didn't actually exist.
Yes. Still, if they were not a joke, they would have been the predecessors of what we nowadays call reptiles. So birds.
Birds?
Birds. Birds. Not what you think of reptiles. Birds. The dinosaurs are generally divided into avian and non-avian dinosaurs. All non-avian dinosaurs and most avian dinosaurs went extinct in some kind of mass extinction event some 66 million years ago, whose details researchers are still not sure about to this day. But yeah. Kind of related to each other, but not all of them come from dinosaurs. We got like lizards and snakes and turtles and crocodiles. They're related, but they didn't evolve from dinosaurs. And then we got birds. Technically, birds are reptiles, but they're also not. Reptiles are birds, and crocodiles are more closely related to birds than to lizards. So the whole reptile thing depends on the classification system used, based on characteristics or based on ancestry. So birds are basically like crocodiles because they share close ancestry.
It sounds very complicated.
I love it. We will come back to this. But first, let's talk about time periods. The Mesozoic Era. From roughly 250 million to 66 million years ago. It is divided into the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. The Mesozoic Era was the era of dinosaurs. Such time periods and eras are always marked by extinction events. So the Jurassic in Jurassic Park/World is a geological period in the Earth's history that starts and ends with an extinction event. According to Wikipedia, we start around 200 million years ago and end around 145 million years ago. And the Cretaceous would, well, start 145 and end 66 million years ago. During the Jurassic, we had crocodile ancestors living. Also turtles, because turtles. Also some lizards and a few well-known dinosaurs. The Pterosaurs lived there, some early versions of small tyrannosauroids. The Brachiosaurus did live during the late Jurassic. But the Tyrannosaurus Rex did not live in the Jurassic. It came after in the late Cretaceous, which the animated series is named after. As did the Velociraptor, late Cretaceous, and the Deinonychus and the Utahraptor, early Cretaceous. Those two will be explained in a bit. Then there's the Giganotosaurus. This one also lived during the late Cretaceous, but before the T-Rex came around. They never actually met. So T-Rexy lived right up until the non-avian dinos were wiped out completely. Actually, I believe T-Rexy is an avian dinosaur. Just saying. So the prologue for Jurassic World Dominion is completely incorrect because it depicts dinosaurs living in one place that existed during entirely different eras and in entirely different places.
Why?
Eras.
Why?
Why do I always want to say era? Anyway.
Era.
Yeah.
Why did they make T-Rexy a symbol of the Jurassic Park when it didn't even live during the Jurassic?
Because it's the most known dinosaur and Cretaceous Park sounds weird.
Checks out. I think it's because of the teeth. The T-Rex has a lot of teeth.
Also, when the first film tells us that they hatch the eggs under Jurassic conditions, but the dinosaurs they're hatching are from the Cretaceous, then that means it shouldn't have worked. Never mind that the entire park doesn't have the right environmental conditions, which also cannot be controlled, for any of the dinosaurs to survive, genetically engineered or not. Same goes for Site B. Left to their own devices, the dinosaurs realistically should have all died because of the wrong environment alone. Even genetic engineering cannot help with that.
Well, it's only a film. They don't need to be overly accurate. They just need to make it believable for the masses.
Yes, I've got a whole paragraph on that. I title the next one, Birds Are Dinosaurs. Let me preface this by saying that the Jurassic Park franchise is not a documentary series and not obligated to be scientifically accurate, and also by saying that science makes new discoveries every day, and all we can really do is form theories based on those discoveries, and those theories evolve constantly. Case in point, the feathered T-Rex. First, it was featherless, then it was covered in colorful feathers, then it went back to featherless or perhaps partially feathered, and now it's featherless again. Or something. Science.
Okay, I will just take that at face value.
Science. So anything I say about this world's reptiles could be totally wrong and inaccurate, is what I'm saying. But what I'm telling you is what I found out about the current state of things in the science sphere. As of, what do we have right now? We are nearing the end of 2023. Anyway, in the Jurassic Park universe, the scientists extracted the dinosaur DNA from fossilized mosquitoes, which does not account for the degeneration of biopolymers over time, and DNA is made up of biopolymers. Mosquitoes would also digest those biopolymers, so not possible. The scientists apparently used frog DNA to fill all the holes, but frogs are amphibians, and amphibians are not very closely related to dinosaurs, not in the way birds and crocodiles are. Amphibians split off too early. Fish even earlier. I believe the Indominus has some fish DNA on top of the rock DNA, which... Why? Just use bird DNA. That would make the most sense, but anyway. One of the sixth film's dinosaurs seems to have gotten a lot of crocodile in it. It's very visible in its design, so that would check out. A little bit more than the others at least, but the film doesn't tell you that. The film makes you believe that the Giganotosaurus actually had osteoderms like a crocodile, and then these larger spines protruding from its back in a similar fashion, although smaller compared to the Spinosaurus. But the real thing, the real Giganotosaurus, probably looked a lot like T. Rexy. Also not to be confused with the Gigantosaurus, by the way, which is a sauropod like the Brachiosaurus. If it existed, because scientists aren't sure yet, this one might actually have had osteoderms. But it's not the Giganotosaurus, it's a different one entirely. So this one is incorrect like all the others in the end.
How many mosquitoes did they have to extract the DNA out of to make so many dinosaurs? How did the mosquitoes even manage to bite through the probably very thick skin of any of the dinosaurs?
Well, some dinosaurs were feathered, so their skin might have been less thick. But there were also a lot with scales, so who knows? Yeah, birds are reptiles. So let me backtrack for a bit in the family tree. I'll put up an animation on the screen once I get around to that. All sorts of fish split off first, way back. Then the amphibians. Then the mammals. And then we got a split into the snake and lizard side, what modern people call reptiles, and the crocodile and dinosaur side, the latter of which birds, avian dinosaurs, came from. Turtles are also in there somewhere between the mammals and the lizards. So by the characteristics classification systems, birds are birds and reptiles are lizards and snakes. By the evolutionary definition, birds are reptiles and came from dinosaurs. But lizards and snakes did actually not come from dinosaurs. Also, flying dinosaurs are not avian dinosaurs.
Wait, what? Why do you have to make it more complicated than it already is?
Yes, because flying dinosaurs were not actually dinosaurs, so they can't be avian dinosaurs because they're not dinosaurs. I love it. I love it. So, called pterosaurs. That's what you think of when I say flying dinosaur. They aren't considered dinosaurs, which is another Jurassic Park inaccuracy and generally common misconception. They lived during the late Triassic and the entire Cretaceous, but they were flying reptiles, not dinosaurs. They split off earlier, I believe right after the crocodiles. Examples are the pterodactyl, very well known, and the Quetzalcoatlus, who was a huge pterosaur named after the feathered serpent god, Quetzalcoatl. However you pronounce that, I'm sorry for butchering it. And if I say huge, I mean huge. They were the largest animals known to fly, about the size of giraffes. Giraffes?
Giraffes.
Wingspan of about 11 to 15 meters.
Oh gosh.
Huge.
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 Oh gosh.
Huge.
Yeah.
Look at this picture that is totally here. Imagine that. Huge.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there might have been flying dinosaurs. Probably would have been avian dinosaurs, but there hasn't been evidence found so far. We got some short distance gliding, that was possible, the Chinese Yiji for one, and some other related raptors. Birds might be descendants of something similar to the Dromaeosauridae, that's the raptors, some of which, like I said, might have been able to glide. Similar, I say, not identical, because birds are not actually descendants of the raptors, but some other theropods. Theropods are dinosaurs with hollow bones and 3 toes on each limb. This includes the raptors, T-Rexy, the Archaeopteryx, and, well, birds. The Archaeopteryx is a well-known specimen that was used as a base for many of the early birds are dinosaurs theories. Also not a direct ancestor of the birds, but closely related. If you take a look at ostriches and kiwis, you can kind of see the relation, you know? And then you take the Archaeopteryx and the murder turkeys and compare them to some birds and... yeah. Ask any paleontologist and they'll tell you lots of similarities between birds and the theropods. I mean, technically birds are theropods, so of course there would be similarities. There's actually a group of theropod dinosaurs that looked a lot like our modern ostriches called Ornithomimosauridae or something. So, on to the difference between avian and non-avian dinosaurs. The most obvious one, the non-avian dinosaurs all went extinct. The avian dinosaurs somehow survived the mass extinction event that ended the Mesozoic Era and evolved into birds. The non-avian dinosaurs all died. Avian dinosaurs had hollow bones. I mentioned this already being the case for theropods. Non-avian dinosaurs had dense bones to support their immense weights, for one, which in turn made it hard for large avian dinosaurs like T. rexy to move at great speeds because Rexy's bones couldn't handle that. So no, it couldn't have chased sheep. I'm sorry, just its bones would not have been able to handle that. Additionally, their diets differed, and so did the metabolisms. Avian dinosaurs were likely warm-blooded, and non-avians probably cold-blooded, similar to snakes and lizards. Wait, are they cold-blooded? Am I confusing? No, I think that, whatever, science. People, animals, reptiles. Everyone's a reptile, apparently.
Am I a reptile? Are you a reptile? What, you were an under-demon?
I'm a demon. I'm not part of your evolutionary line, sorry.
Okay, so you're an exception.
Also, I have horns. I could very well be a... No, wait, are dragons dinosaurs?
Well, I would ask you that. You did all the research into these, into this science and what is a dinosaur and avian and non-avian dinosaurs and flying dinosaurs.
I'm sure there are people out there who made up whole paragraphs and scientific evidence stuff what a dragon would have been if it existed.
Probably. So if anyone is interested, look it up. It's probably out there somewhere. And then you can tell us in the comments.
Yes, tell us. I want to know. Well, I remember seeing something about that. It's just not part of this because this is not dragons. So we got inaccurate dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park franchise. The author of the original novel never actually imagined it to be scientifically possible to create dinosaurs this way, so we can forgive him for that. By the way, the author had an MD, a doctor of medicine, and often included biotechnology in all of his works. As for the film productions, well, they did have paleontologist advisors for the productions of all films, and research wasn't as far by the time the first trilogy came out as it is today. Feathers.
Feathered, colorful T-Rex.
And, well, we don't know. That one's complicated. And the dinosaurs had to be scary. Colorful, feathered, chirping and singing birdies are simply not scary.
No.
A growl and a roar are so much more powerful, and muted colors make for excellent camouflaged jump scares. There is somewhat of an in-universe explanation for the inaccurate dinosaurs, that they were genetically engineered for the theme park. We get that in Jurassic Park 3, and, well, Jurassic World literally has genetically engineered hybrid dinosaur inventions like the Indominus Rex and its successor, the Indoraptor. At the latest, by the time Jurassic World was made, research into dinosaurs had come far enough to say for sure the Jurassic Park depictions were quite inaccurate. They could have made them more accurate for the second trilogy, but didn't. Perhaps for the sake of continuity, perhaps because colorful birdies are still not scary, perhaps they simply didn't care. Like I said, the dinosaurs aren't meant to be accurate in universe. The first Jurassic Park film, which came out in 1993, so we made a lot of scientific discoveries since then, it might have been the only one out of all 6 films who tried to make the dinosaurs as accurate as the paleontologists knew at the time. Except for the feathers, colors, and some minor anatomic changes for the sake of drama, to which they fully admitted, but they tried their best outside of that. But the in-universe explanation for why they're not accurate still doesn't quite hold up, at least in the Jurassic Park trilogy, because we have paleontologists talking about prehistoric dinos and applying that to the engineered park dinos. And there's that scene in Jurassic Park 3 where Alan Grant is doing a study on velociraptors and their behavior, and there's no mention at all that the engineered velociraptors are completely different from the actual species, even different from the related Deinonychus the film's raptors were based on. Also, Darius from Camp Cretaceous is a dinosaur nerd and knows stuff about those dinosaurs that the kids encounter, but if those dinos aren't actually accurate, how does Darius's nerd knowledge apply to them at all?
They They just made it work for the sake of the films and didn't think further about it. They didn't care to make it accurate.
But they had paleontologist advisors.
Just because you have advisors doesn't mean you actually listen to those advisors.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's like the advisor for the first few films. They like this. Some of the advice he had, he was very stern about. So they implemented that, and others they just didn't because drama. But
Drama.
okay, let's go into the two most famous. First, T-Rexy. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is the star of all 6 films, and it would have eaten you whether you stood still or not.
So I would have been doomed either way.
Yes.
Sucks for me.
Rexy is the T-Rex that appears in 4 out of the 6 films. It appears in Jurassic Park, and then the entire Jurassic World trilogy, as well as the animated Camp Cretaceous. Jurassic Park 2 and 3 take place on a different island, so those Rexys are different Rexys. Rexy should not have been able to chase a jeep, but drama. Rexy also would probably have seen you even if you didn't move, because bird relative. Other anatomical features like the wrists were also inaccurate. The colors are wrong, of course, as already established. At one point, I mentioned this already, the missing feathers were inaccurate, but they're not anymore, because, like, was the T-Rex feathered or not? We don't know. Science keeps changing its mind every few years on that, because people keep finding new evidence that contradicts previously established theories. I believe we are currently back to featherless, partially because animals of that size wouldn't benefit from feathers. So why would they have that? It's complicated.
I gathered as much. It's very complicated.
Everything is. I mean, they are dead. We don't have any living examples of them except for birds, so it's hard. And they lived like up to, it's like the latest they lived to was 66 million years ago. It's fascinating that science is even able to make any guesses based on all that stuff that's left over at all. It's fascinating that there is something left to discover and research and history. History. So much more interesting than human history. Paleontology. So, we're also still debating whether the T-Rex always hunted for its food fresh, for fresh food, or whether it scavenged everything, or whether it did a mix of both. There are arguments for all sides. Also, by the way, genetically engineered or not, I do not buy that a T-Rex's blood could save a fake velociraptor. But the world building of this franchise is so full of holes anyway, it's worse than Swiss cheese. Raptors. I'm gonna put this picture on here that I found on the internet. I've color-coded it for your convenience. So, raptors do have feathers. We all know that the Jurassic Park velociraptors are nothing like this world's velociraptors, depicted in red. They are instead based on the Deinonychus, which I might have been mispronouncing the entire time. Who knows? Who knows? Deinonychus, depicted in orange. The Deinonychus has been mistakenly named a velociraptor species early on. I think when they invented the Jurassic Park velociraptors for the screen, they consulted a book that made this mistake, but by that time, people already knew better. Anyway, either way, Velociraptor sounds cooler and more dramatic than Deinonychus, so there's that. Despite the inaccuracies, I do love the Jurassic Park raptors because they're vicious killers. The Jurassic World raptors are basically no more than fan service, so I do not like those. This world's Velociraptors were basically carnivorous turkeys. We used their deadly claws to stab things rather than slash their prey open.
Murder turkeys.
Yes, murder turkeys. They're awesome. So yeah, there's more raptors. They're called Dromaeosauridae. I've mentioned this a few times. We've got, I already mentioned Velociraptor, the Deinonychus, the Utahraptor in green, which actually comes closer to the Jurassic raptors than the Deinonychus. and then there's the Dakota raptor, and more. Many, many more. Dakota raptor is unfortunately not depicted, but we'll get to that. So, the Utahraptor was discovered in 1993, so the same year the film was released. And the just as large Dakota raptor was discovered in 2005 and then named in 2015, so way after the films.
Mm.
The Utahraptor lived during different parts. Well, no, the Utahraptor and the Dakota raptor lived during different parts of the Cretaceous period. All of the raptors were feathered and colorful and very, very mean. They were fast, agile, and deadly, could apparently climb very well, and some of their cousins could even glide through the air.
Deadly, colorful murder turkeys.
Yes. Let's start with the Deinonychus. This one is the raptor the film's raptors were based on. Larger than the Velociraptor, but still smaller than the film's depiction. They lived during the early Cretaceous, whereas Velociraptors lived during the late Cretaceous, like the T-Rex. The pack hunting is a bit complicated. I know there's contradicting studies. Some say it's possible that they hunted in packs. Some studies say it's more likely they were either solitary hunters or scavengers. They were climbers, their arms likely covered in long feathers for balance, together with the long tail. They were fast but not as fast. Studies suggest that their speed wasn't anything special compared to other dinosaurs. So the films have the anatomy slightly wrong, ignoring the size. As with the T-Rex, and the feathers are obviously missing and some of the behavior isn't quite right, but for the Jurassic Park trilogy at least, it makes sense that they couldn't just adapt the design to new discoveries for the sake of consistencies, because like these are the raptors introduced in the first film. We thought they were mostly accurate. Oh, they're not? Well, Jurassic Park 2 and 3 have to continue with that, because that's how they were engineered. For Jurassic World, however, they could have made changes. Ah, well, it's not a documentary. It is, what was the genre? Sci-fi?
Sci-fi.
Science fiction. I would like to talk a bit about the Utahraptor. Really large and heavy species, probably feathered, slower than the Deinonychus because of its size. Probably didn't need its hands as much as its smaller relatives. Most likely an ambush hunter. Might have hunted in packs, we're not sure. The Dakota raptor was also quite large, but lived in the late Cretaceous and resembled the Deinonychus more. But there's not much to find about the Dakota raptor. It's still possible the thing didn't actually exist and that the fossils associated with the species actually belong to others. Science, complicated. But I would say that if the Dakota raptor existed, it's the closest raptor to the depiction of the Jurassic Park Velociraptors.
So, after all this science, now to the most important question of all. Would you be a real Velociraptor or just Jurassic Park Velociraptor, Neitshayd?
Real or Jurassic Park version doesn't matter. I can be a small little murder turkey. I can also be a big murder raptor. But I would not be a Jurassic World raptor.
I would just be a Brachiosaurus.
Big dino.
Big dino eating my plants all day and sleeping.
Yeah, so ending this on the flying dinosaurs were not actually dinosaurs, and birds are dinosaurs. And reptiles. Birds are dinosaurs. So, as always, you can find us on Twitter, Spotify, and obviously on YouTube under Tea and Toffees.
And if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a comment. What kind of dinosaur would you be? Also, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you.
Go and give the webtoon Darbi a read. I linked it down below. We wish everyone some nice holidays. Christmas, Yule, whatever you're celebrating. And New Year's, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see you all next year. Bye-bye.
Bye.